welcome to another. It's not another edition. It's actually just something we're going to try and put together for a bit of content, and it's a question which we've been trying to answer at Show Me the Money and in Rugby League for quite a long time. It's the fitness levels and the obsession with the game that we need in this country to make the players better. We always get compared to... There's only two competitions really that mean anything in Rugby League. Rugby League, it's the NRL and Super League. As in Championship, Champ 1, there's the English game, there's the Australian game. People are getting worried all the time. I think there's two players just been linked, two 20-year-old lads from our competition have been linked with Newcastle Knights in the last 7 days. And people are saying to me, I guess the one question I get more than anything is, what scares you about our game with the NRL? Does it mean a lot of our top talents are going to be taken away? And what is the difference in standards? As in, people who don't watch the game or study it, what is the difference? Well, I'll try and help you a little bit, and me and Joe will discuss it. I think Jimmy's going to come, but a big thing I hold on to is the fitness levels of what makes a top NRL player against what makes a top Super League player. Now, are you still with us, Joe?
Yep, listening.
I look at the average Super League player who comes over here from the NRL. So if an NRL comes over here, it's usually at an age of 31, 32. We very rarely for the last 10 years get young Australian players unless they've dropped out into the Queensland club, plus there's the visas. But I think if you watch the NRL, it's twice, 3 times as fast. I think there's only probably 2 teams at the moment who you could potentially say could live with that intensity and that fitness level. It'd be Saints and Wigan. Are probably the 2 teams in our game at the moment who could actually live with that intensity of what they play. I think they get all the GPSs and all the performance enhancing things they get back. And I think they play at the effort levels they play at for the periods they do is ridiculous compared to... I think there's only so many players in our comp can play to that intensity level. Now, both are full-time, Joe. So both are full-time, so there's no excuse on our levels of fitness and intensity and obsession with the game against the NRL. That can't be done. It's the same thing. They're both full-time. Facilities-wise, you'd have to say the NRL, we've seen the Penriths and the Melbournes, it's absolutely incredible. So the facilities, apart from probably our top 5 clubs, wouldn't be in the same league. But I asked a few players and a few coaches and a few CEOs last week why I think, and let's be honest here, I'm going to try and be as honest as we can, there's probably 30% of our game don't play to 100% of the maximum. They've got the shorts there, they've got the weight over the shorts, they've got the chins, you're looking and thinking, and they blow up very quick if they do repeat efforts for more than 6-7 minutes. It looks like they're miles away. They start going to, drifting out because they don't want to be in that. So the holy grail is why. Now, one top player who I don't want to name, I said to him, why do you think it's? And he said, it's easy in his opinion. It's the competition is not intense enough to make players drive on to keep the shirt. There's not enough players about for them to intensify every week to make sure that they're in that team. Also, he said, they can easily drop from one team to another because there's still that, if you're an average 7 out of 10 player at a top 4 club and you drop out of that, you probably drop into the next 4 and you get paid probably more. So he said they can actually drift through the game for 12 years earning money without actually, so the intensity on them to be the best player they can be is not there. He thinks the competition. I spoke to a top coach who's coached in Australia as well as England, and he said that the Australia train outside, so that most of the time the lads will have the tops off, so vanity, fitness over there is ridiculous because they're training in intense heat. They're also in the training, they're walking about with the shorts on, the tops off. So if you went and took a training session here and you saw a professional full-time player with bits of fat and saggy whatever and this and that, they don't think it's embarrassing here. They won't really say it. But over there, he reckons it'd be absolutely the worst thing you've ever seen. And the last one, I asked another player, I said, what is it? And he said, how come have you kept your body in that shape and conditioning? He said, well, I'd do that anyway. whether I played rugby or not, I like to wear my clothes, I like to look smart, I like to be fit. I feel better when I fit, I play better when I fit. And I says, wow, that sounds the most simple solution to something. Why do we think, and do you agree that probably 30-40% of our game are not 100% fit to play intense professional rugby?
You've probably got to say, my view on it is probably accountability. I don't think they're held accountable to be that fit. I think a lot of you speak to a lot of people inside the game, obviously not naming names or anything, but you say, oh, why are they that fit? Oh, it's not that bad. Like you actually get a view that you don't have to, like some players, I don't want to say coaches, but some people in and around the game in clubs in certain positions don't put a big emphasis of having a low body fat percentage, of having not just a good looking rig obviously, but like a fitness rig where they can go and play 80 minutes, where they can go and not blow up. And it's like, it's not, for some reason, and that's the bit I don't know, for some reason it's not held as a be all and end all thing, because it's probably the one thing in sport that you can do yourself. Talent doesn't, that has nothing to do with talent. Mentality, yeah, it has all to do with your effort and how much you're willing to sacrifice to get the body and get the fitness. I think with, you know what I mean, most of the time they train well enough. They train. I think we've spoke to people. They do train. They train hard enough where they should all have good rigs. So it's that suggests the diet. So
I'd challenge you on that. I know they say sometimes that in our country they can't train till Tuesdays because of the body and the wear and tear in the body. But I even think the prehab, that means afterwards, I don't think we do. I can remember seeing Danny Badiris over here. He'd always go to David Lloyd after training. He'd go to David Lloyd after games. He'd cool down, his conditioning, his everything to get ready to go straight into training again. So he made sure he did his ice baths. He did so much work. We'd never seen anybody do that at Leeds Rhinos. I talked to him about it. I said, wow, why is everyone not doing this? And he said, well, it's normal for us to do it. It's preparation, and then after the game we make sure that everything's done right so I can train when my body fit. I don't think that happens in 50% of our game. It doesn't happen,
but they still train. Well, the full-time professionals, they'll train 3 times a week during the week and then have the game. That's 4 times a week training. Any normal person who does 4 training sessions a week mixed with gym on top of that.
They won't do it. It'd be interesting. We should have brought a conditioner on. I think we're both probably missing there. I think we say they train 3 times. I think they probably train more than that, but it's what they're doing. They'll do team run from Wednesday. They'll do video. They'll just do attack v defence. There won't be any conditioning at all being done once after the season. There's not that much. They'll all say it. If we got a player on and they dare say it now, they'd say, actually, when the season's going, it's just about managing.
Yeah, but most sports are the same. You speak to different. If you've studied other sports say they don't do during mid-season. They don't actually do loads because most of it is recovery. Most of it is the intensity of the game doesn't allow you to train that much. But you're still moving. You still do the gym. I know they do two gym sessions a week on average, don't they? I think every team does 2 gym sessions a week.
I think modern day technology, and I'm sure we can get some people to talk about who are better qualified than both of us to do it within the game, and that's what we'll try and do. But I think there's the old school and the new school, the GPSs and what they're allowed to do, the SNC, and saying, yeah, well, the old school that have gone back and done a bit more, that have said, hey, come on, this is play hard, you know, that have gone out and had 10 pints, then turned up training and flogged the sends on Monday, they'd have done it intense. Mentally wise, they were unbelievable.
Yes, but that's got nothing to do with fitness.
That's what I'm saying to you, it probably has, because it's a mentality thing. Because if you look at
top MMA.
No. Comparing rugby to now, I'm on about, forget about other sports. Rugby League now, I think's in the worst condition. The players are not. 20 years ago, I think they were twice as fit, and they were drinking and they were having other things. But actually, if you watched them years ago, some of them were absolutely fitness fanatics. We can name the great Ali Ramley, who's probably fitter than 90% of the players now.
Yeah, but that's naming.
No. I mean, even I talked to Alan Tate, Graham Stead, I said to Steady, how come you had the rig and how they did it, how you had your lifestyles? He goes, well, it was a mentality thing. If you were going to go out for a pint, you went and I'm not dragging. I'm just wondering why watching it today,
I think that's why I'm saying I think it's a lot goes into diet and what they do outside of the game. I think there's not enough accountability for what they do. They have the training sessions, but what they do outside of that, I think famously they'll pile on Nando's, don't they? The famous rugby players, and Nando's is a relationship that I think that I don't know if there's enough emphasis placed on keeping yourself fit and ready, which I think a lot of it is diet outside of training, outside of what they are told to eat when they're in and around the squad and the team environment.
Be interesting how much money actually goes into it at each club. It'd be fascinating to hear a chairman or a CEO or managing director tell us how much financial input is to get the players fit and to maintain the fitness and maintain the wear and tear in the bodies and do that. I mean, some facilities we know in Super League don't even have anything like that. They don't have ice baths, Well,
ice bins,
but
they
don't have anything like that. They don't have swimming pools for after the games and cool down. They don't have anything like that, whereas in Australia all that I can remember.
But you're saying that, but then you're contradicting yourself, because then they didn't back then.
That's what I'm saying. They might have had a tougher, I would say they were a lot tougher mentally. This is what Stab said about Steady and Alan Tate and all the lads. They said it was just a mentality toughness. If you're going to have a pint, you had to go and get it off. You would go in like an animal. So that become normal for them. The greatest players who've ever played the game all said them, and I think Elliot White had quotes loads of times, Sam Burgess, they've said if you're going to do that, you have to be twice as hard on the Monday, twice as hard on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
They're willing to do that. I don't think we're anywhere near that. We haven't got that type of mentality.
So doesn't that go to accountability more than...
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's the clubs. I don't know if it comes down to the individual players, the fully paid professionals. Now let's stick up for the system.
Is there a big difference? Because if they had the old school mentality now, I don't think that's allowed to. As you said, I don't think they're allowed to flog themselves as much on Monday and Tuesday. I don't think they're allowed to do that with injury prevention, with all the what all the modern studies are saying about keeping.
And the game's 50 times faster. We all understand.
So
that.
Is that the difference between they would drink pints, smoke, do all that, but then flog themselves on Monday and Tuesday? But if they're not allowed to do that anymore, flog themselves as hard, but then still do the pints and the cig and everything, well, not the cigs, but pints and the eating broth and burgers, is that the difference where now they're not allowed to do that because of injury prevention and modern day speed and fitness? I reckon that's where they've probably got an old school mentality with the drink and with the eating, and not
now.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. Listen. I don't think there's a drinking culture like it was. We know that. There's 100% not anyway, because I were there.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying if it's not there, even if they do have a pint in that, as you said, they'll flog themselves on the one. They're not allowed to do that, but they're still keeping it to maybe not the same level as they used to, but still keep it. They still go out and drink. I think we can all accept they still party a bit and they still do a bit of that. And
well, I can remember a famous player saying he felt it'd be professional and right for the players not to drink till after the season. That's what they wanted to bring in a few years ago, saying they're now professional. Listen, the 6 again rule has made this the most intense, fastest game in the history of our sport. So it's absolutely probably even more emphasis should be put on the fitness and the wear and tear of the body and what is best to get the players on the field. I'm still, and again, I'd like some feedback off some better people than us in the game who are actually living this. But I've heard a lot of people said to me, mate, you won't believe how unfit they are. You literally wouldn't believe how unfit some of the players are. I think historically and certainly lately, there is people from Win the Game asking a lot more questions about clubs' fitness levels and intensity levels. And I read a column, and I wish I could show you it. I'll try and ask Sam if he can put it, but it's just a little bit of what they've done on Nathan Clary in Australia and his obsession. It's called The Obsession with the Game. And if you read it, it's absolutely fascinating where they are. He is mentally trying to become, as John said, he could become the greatest half of all time. He's on course with his records to do it. But if you read it, it's frightening. He's gone to do an interview with his dad at pre-season, and they've looked over and said, "Where's Nathan?" And they've looked and he's 40 metres away with a ball in the middle of this pitch. And he said to his dad, the reporter said, "What's he doing?" He said, "He stimulates his rugby, he does it for hours." So he's running round 23, the best half in the world, and he's stimulating what drop-offs and stimulating kicking. He said throughout
simulating, like any chance he gets, he's just
on his own. Didn't make a big thing of it. He just said he does it all the time, and then it goes down to tell you what his levels of everything are to become that player. It's frightening. It's frightening what he's willing to do, and the extras, the extra yard they do. He's put everything I do. I am obsessed to be the best I can be. I know I've only got this one career, and I'm going to make the most of it. And everything I do is to become the best I can be. He said I'm learning all the time. I'm getting advice off older players and the best players, Johns, Wally Lewis. I just read it, and afterwards I thought, and this was sent to me, by the way, by a top 2 coach in the country. He said, I know you'd like it, and I really want you to read where he is in his mindset. And back to linking it in, I can remember seeing clearly with his top off in, we're at Origins, and he's got top there, he's got the GPS. He looked like a triathlete.
Yeah.
He's got the full 8-pack, he's got this, he's got that. He's conditioned within inches of being, got to be below a 5% fat count. Absolutely got to be. And I think, you don't think he is?
Well, 5's very low, but it's
5's extreme.
Carl Fitzpatrick's 4 at the moment, so I'm just working off Fitz's age.
Definitely, I don't.
Yeah. Carl's been on the thingy diet for 6 months, so he's got it down to like below 5. But anyway, let's not get anal with whether it's 5, 6, or 7. I believe it'll be really low.
Below 10, yeah.
A top athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the records for Super League Champ 1. You know, semi-professional, it's a lot harder, them lads are working, but certainly Super League. It'd be fascinating to see where that is, where the count is, and that should be recorded. And
they do at the start of the season. You hear the lads don't. They have the fat fall test now, don't they? And you hear the lads coming in. It's a little thing.
They just pick
measures how much forgotten.
But what's good about it?
Well, they do that as a way of almost shaming them at the start of the year. And they're like, oh, bloody hell, I need to get some work done because I'm at this level. Now, the question would be, what level do we have to get to? And in certain positions, as an halfback, you can get away with having the body of an Adonis and do certain positions. Are they allowed to have a little bit more meat on them because they need to be at a certain weight? But obviously, there's a fine line between carrying a little bit extra to help with your impact in the yardage and being at the... A strength and conditioner who I know quite well went to a club this year and was not horrified but realised how much unlocked potential there was in certain players because they were well overweight, and he was trying to get them to understand that I'm trying to help you where you are now. You're a top 8, you're a top 8 condition, but the club is aiming to be a top 4, top 3 club. So I want to help you get into the physical condition you need to be. And a lot of their responses are, no, this is my weight, this is what I play best at. And they believe that they are better at a certain weight because they like having that extra on them when they don't know perhaps what they're like and how good they can be. And it's about trusting people who know more. And
does it go into the old classic argument that Rugby League have had over the last 2 years, that with that old school about
20 years or 2.
Maybe no. That is what 20 years ago we said we're old school.
Yeah, I'm saying they're still arguing about 20 years
catching up with other people.
Yeah, for the last since I've definitely got my head into everything, it's how old school everyone's mindset is about the game, and I still feel like fitness-wise we're catching up because the evidence. I don't think evidence suggests that playing at a heavier weight does benefit. Maybe there's the odd super freak who even
Paulie, for example, because he is all about being a monster.
I'd even disagree with that.
But again, I was going to say,
he's in best condition he's been for 2 years. Paulie started to play some.
I've watched actually a documentary on I'm rubbish with names. The South Sydney fullback. Help me out.
Latrell Mitchell.
I've watched it. They've just done a documentary.
He struggles a little bit, doesn't he?
He doesn't anymore. They've done a documentary of his injury and how he's come back and don't put everything in place to get his body right, because obviously he's famously a bigger lad for the position, probably a bit overweight. With extreme talent. What they've now done is done a full documentary series on South Sydney's Rugby League channel and actually showed his transition into them educating him on injury prevention, on fitness levels, on every other part of the game that we don't teach that well, especially over here. It looks like more, I can't say ins and outs, but obviously it looks like more that. But now Latrell's even the man who would be the hand up, oh yeah, I can play it that way. He's now even taking it seriously.
Because he's so good, he could get away with it.
It's Jake Connor, innit? Let's be honest. We're talking about in our comp, Jake Connor's Latrell. Jake can play half a stone overweight.
Yes.
And probably says to lads, I'm still the best player.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Players can get away with being a little bit over at times, but what stops them up here from wanting to be the absolute best?
That guy is.
And you talk about injuries. If you go to, with respect, you go to a physio because you've got a knee injury, what's the first thing he says to you?
Lose weight.
Lose a few pounds.
Well, you're aiming that at me. You're not saying that about you or Joe.
I said with respect, you know. So, but it's a fact, isn't it? There's not a physio in the country who would not say weight is massive, because your lower half can't handle that.
You know, let's do a little thing here. If we did the top 5 players repeatedly in Super League now,
even over 10 years.
No, now as in now, I believe, let's say they'll all have quite high fitness levels. I believe that'll be a common denominator. Yeah. And I know that the upturn in Cruz Leeming's form, because his friend told me, has been because he understands the fitness levels. He needs to be that player, and he's got the mentality to say, I'm going to chase it and be the best I can be. Whether that's my best ever is going to be a 7. He's willing to put everything to be a 7. If he could squeeze an 8, whatever, but he's not going to leave nothing. And he said that's what's happened to him 2 or 3 years ago. He's gone, right, I'm going to give this everything. Cruz is probably top 3-4 hookers in the comp. But if you look to the top 5 players, if we asked them, we did it other week. So you've got Morgan Knowles, looks as fit as a log to me. Morgan Smithies, let's throw Smithies in. Young lad, 20-year-old Morgan. I think last week somebody said
Jack Wellsby.
Yeah, but he's just said, somebody said Morgan did 60 tackles again other week. So he's done 60 tackles, played 70 minutes, and he's done 30, which is phenomenal effort levels. Jack Wellsby, Joe was just knowing, looks as fit as a log.
Lomax.
Looks like he's just the supreme Kevin Sinfield professional.
I was going to say, I think you look at what you said there about Cruz. I think totally agree. He's got himself 1 point better out of 10 because of how he's looked after himself. Sinfield, talent-wise, to use the word briefly, was never as remotely talented as Danny Maggs. But Sinfield was, I think most people agree, was the one who, before his time, was doing extra runs and working on his fitness, because he probably knew, I need that little bit more to, whether it's psychological as well, to, even at our level of football, I used to do extras because it meant that you feel that you've got a bit more than others. And I think Sinfield did that. He used to do the extra running because he wanted to get that little bit.
It passes down from Ellery. Ellery, when I famously said to Ellery, what did you have difference to rest? He said, I didn't go pub.
Yeah.
I knew me fit. I was always into me conditioning. I couldn't believe when I went to Australia that I was the only one who went to Australia in that era who was fitter than them.
Yeah.
You know, the West Tigers, Balmain guy said he's the fittest bloke they'd ever seen. So Ellery said, but I always did my own stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a common denominator now. With talent, if it comes too easy, there's a laziness. Yeah. That's proven in any sport. Yeah.
Hard work beats
talent. I like to think about myself in a lot of sports in that I'm a bit, so I think that you look at somebody and it comes easy.
Save that insult.
They're not going to work at it as hard as what I think JP once said to me. Jamie said, you need adversity. You need something in that along that journey. Either told you're not good enough, or been, and you come. If it all comes naturally, your fitness level, this, that, and you can just, it is. I'm not saying it's something hanging over you, but it's certainly. There's probably only 3 or 4 players in the history of our game have the mentality and the fitness levels and the talent. That's why you end up with an Ellery. That's why you end up with a Sam Burgess. I seen Sam Burgess. I mean, Sam could always take the Burgesses. Sam's rig was unbelievable. Yeah. He was. I can remember him doing not like a thing in Australia with trunks on. Sam again looked like a triathlete. Absolutely cut to death. I'll get the same debate here. People say, but that's Australia. They get paid more. The sun's out. They've got better facilities. this and that. I don't think it's as easy as that. That's what I'm trying to get to the people listening. I want them to understand and give us some feedback on it. I've got lads in Championship who are super fit and who make it their thing to be a super fit. It's, you know, if somebody said to me about Alex Foster, I'd have said to you, Fozzie will try because his fitness levels and he's fit as a log. I know he's had a lot of injuries because he's a brave kid, but Fozzie, you'd never say to Fozzie, you haven't done it because you're not fit enough. Yeah. Would you? I've never heard that put on somebody of that type.
I help out with the Davies twins who are Worky and Whitehaven.
Super fit lads.
Unbelievable, best. He's got his WhatsApp photos in the beach. One of the best rigs I've ever seen. And if you look at their story, they come from no scholarship, no academy, I think they only took up the game at like 18, 19, but they've forged themselves the best probably they can be, and they're still getting better just purely because they're both super fit and they take all that side of it really seriously.
You look at Tommy May, you know, I'm rightly so, we've had a guy, one of the comments of someone saying we don't give Saints enough toffee and the best players at Saints. Well, I'll give you some absolute toffee. They look like the fittest team in Super League, bar none.
Fact, yeah.
Tommy May, everywhere you look, even Big Al, we went golfing last week at this two, Big Al were there. He looks as fit as a log. He absolutely does. So there's not many, you'd go there, you'd go, he don't look fit enough. So they've got something right.
But I think that the culture of having an individual sport, right? So let's take tennis. If you're not at a fitness level of your opponent, you'll probably lose based 100%. On that. In a team environment, you can get away with it because you can hide behind it a little bit. And when you've got characters at what Leeds had those years ago and what Saints clearly had for the last number of years with players like Lomax who were so committed and determined, that brings the teammates up, because you're not going to have a young lad going into that team or even a Conrad Hurrell going into that team going, well, I'll just take it easy, because they're looking at someone who's achieved everything in the game, leading by example.
Can I ask you a question, Jimmy, then, and Joe was Leeds fans. Why did Conrad look better condition at Saints than he did Leeds?
Because they made it clear he was not going to be allowed to get away with it. And I think we know a little bit, even contractually.
Accountability.
Even in the contract, it was, if you want to be a Saints player, you need to do this. And it wasn't just, I've never heard of it before.
Is that frightening? Is that frightening coming from one of the biggest clubs in the world?
It's frightening for Leeds.
Yeah, if you give me an opinion.
What done. I think I thought about this a lot. If you want to sum up Leeds compared to Saints over the last few years, what Conrad Hurrell has done sums it up, because Saints have gone, we see what you've got, but you can't be in that condition because that's not our standards. And if you trust us and you get into the condition, you're going to be a far better player. And he had no choice but to go for it, and the results are clear to see.
Well, some of the top players at Leeds, I think when he first turned out for Saints in that first game, I think they were all like...
They all commented. No, he put a photo, didn't he, of him at pre-season on his Instagram, and they all commented going, effing hell, Connie, what's that? Oh my God, you look amazing, you look fit, and I think that just proves your point, doesn't it?
And how do Leeds fans feel? And how do the fellow players of Conrad feel, who might have been like, well, he's clearly allowed to do it. We haven't, does that mean I can do it a little bit? But you need players pushing each other to set that environment where that's not acceptable. It doesn't mean whether you have a pint before the night match, it's not acceptable. If you're not trying to be physically the best you can, you're letting us all down, because that's easy. There's no excuse not to be as fit. And we can't get too carried away with having the six-pack, because in certain positions and certain genetics don't necessarily allow for that the same. But the conditioner will tell you where you need to be if you know what we're on about.
We've just got
speaking of
Kieran coming in here. Kieran Hudson was now at Cas. He's been at Newcastle. Kieran, come and join us. Pull a chair up. Okay, right. Well, we're lucky enough now to be joined by Kieran Hudson. I'm going to say a bit of a Geordie accent then, Kieran, but I'm not going to do it because I sound stupid. Why are the lads? That was shite. So Kieran's at the moment he's full time with Castleford Tigers. I think Joe's going to do something with him later on. And Kieran's background is he's come through I'll let Joe get on with that, but he's come through Newcastle, and at the moment you're at
Cas,
but you're alone at
Whitehaven.
At Whitehaven. Yeah. So Kieran, we'll just give you a little brief thing there about our debate here, and hopefully I can ask some questions, you can get some really good feedback. So We're on about the fitness levels of the modern day player, professional full-time player.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find out why 30-40% of Super League are not as fit as they can be. I tell you what, let's use the word they could be. Potentially.
Because we got to be careful. Because next thing we'll have to say, well, why don't you lads come along to a training session?
Yeah.
It's like, we're not doubting the levels are unbelievable, but is for room for improvement.
I'm 52, but at their age, you'd have took that challenge on without a doubt. So, in my opinion, I'd debate that one. Yeah. So, Kieran, you just tell us from being part-time at Newcastle, what were it like, the transition to full-time at Castleford fitness-wise? What did you do at Newcastle? How many days? And then you come into full-time?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, it was sort of like, it was literally just like Tuesday, Thursday night.
At Newcastle?
At Newcastle, yeah. And then...
What would you do? Give us an idea.
Pre-season, obviously, there would be like a lot of running, a lot of contact and stuff. And then from Tuesday, Thursday night, it would just literally be probably left v right, stuff like that. Literally just going through the plays and that. You wouldn't really, like, through the season, you wouldn't really do much, like, condition or anything, unless you needed particularly topped up at the end or whatever.
So you might get in 2 sessions a week, and then you've got your game. If you didn't play, you're only doing 2 sessions a week, which is back to your point, Jimmy. People in David Lloyd train 7 days a week. I know they haven't got the way, but I'm saying if you're not playing, and then you're only turning up, and how long would them sessions be on for?
An hour and a bit.
But just to play, you are told that you need to do your own gym on, if you train Tuesday, Thursday, do your own gym on Wednesday.
We would do gym as well there. So
you weren't told to do your own stuff alongside those sessions? No.
So trying to make him sense when you sound like
a lawyer. I know that a lot of clubs do say you have to do your own gym. You know, it's not just when you turn up, we'll do stuff, do what you want. They do put it on the players to
emphasis on the player. I agree. Yeah. So you then go to Cas. How did that feel going into a full? Give us the explosion of how that feels to you.
It was tough, definitely tough, because it was like every single day. It doesn't matter if you're injured or anything wrong with you, they'll find something to do to make it fitter. Like literally, when I first arrived, I was injured, and I thought, usually you just get a course today, really, just watch a bit of training and stuff, do a bit of weights, but nah, straight away, like. And
did you feel like you did a lot more running, a lot more everything?
Yeah, we were definitely on top of us with the running. Just like I said, like even if like you'll just go in and they'll just torture you on the field if you're not training. It's like almost like it's not like a punishment, but you don't want to be injured because you know that you're gonna get it still.
Well, that's old school. That's an old school. They've done that for years. They've always made it difficult for you to feel relaxed being injured. So you just say, right, make it nightmare.
Yeah.
The what bike come in, and that was a nightmare for all players. You're injured, no problem. What bike?
Yeah. We can measure what you're doing on it, not just pedalling around nice and steady.
Even if you hurt your lower body, they'll get you on the skier. They'll find something for you.
Yeah, the skiers, the killer.
So Kieran, based on what you've seen part time and full time, do you think would everybody? I'm not going to say Cas. It's not fair. That's unfair for me to even ask you that. Around the game, do you think there's players that could be a lot fitter than they are, including yourself? If you put yourself there,
I'll definitely put myself there. I would say the only thing, like during the season, I would say it's quite difficult because like the way the Super League, if you play, for example, if you play on the Sunday, I'm sore for the next 2 days, and then you go in, and then you need to get some like ball in hand, and then next time like the game's the next day. Do you know what I mean? So there's not really that much time to get the running and that in if you're playing like week in week out.
So if you played on the Friday, would that give you a weekend to recover?
Yeah. And
then you'd be straight into Monday. So the Sunday fixtures are pretty hard.
Yeah.
I get it. Right, I've got you. So that makes a lot of difference. What would a normal Super League players, after a game, what are you told to do to rest your bones? What you're obviously at a part-time club at the moment, but full-time training at Cas.
Yeah. Well, the difference is like at Cas, like you'll come in the next day, you'll watch the video of the game, and then you'll do recovery in the pool and stuff like that. While the non-players, like I was today, running on the pitch.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Before
well done, Cas.
Get in. I know.
And you're only
22.
And he was saying about it takes 2 days to recover. You can imagine those senior players. They're probably barely recovering in time for the next game.
Does that not go then? What about diet? What's a general? We're trying to figure out why some people are I've got bellies in Super, like,
Yeah.
got bellies and that. Would you say, how much emphasis is put on diet and your eating, and how accountable are you made on that side of things? Is that...
In terms of like supplements, they sort of deal with all like the supplements and stuff like that, and they'll say if you need to gain weight or lose weight or stay the same. And I think that like once you're left, it's pretty much up to you whether you're gonna.
See, that's dangerous, isn't it? No, Joe said that earlier on. But so if the lads are, so you'd have to be educated enough to be able to handle that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And historically, the rugby league lads, I can only speak for the 15 years I've been in it, wouldn't be educated on what foods and not what foods. Maybe better now. Maybe the last 6 months and a year, I'd say a lot of them. I mean, Jack Walker said to me last week, came in, he said to me, you know, I'm doing this accountability diet where whatever you put in, you've got to be able to take it off, and he's recording everything he's putting in, and he's recording his steps and he's training things. And he looks in best shape he's ever looked up, but I would have challenged and said, well, what's happened for the last 5 years then? I think the holy grail answer is, you know, the game needs to evolve. We've put new rules in place which makes the game has to be fitter to play it. I don't think we've caught up. I think probably that changing of that rule, we're still playing the old school stuff, and I think what they should have done is, right, you're going to need at least another 3 kilometres worth of stamina, and you're going to need more pace to play this modern game. And I think they should have given the clubs enough notice to say probably going to need 18 months here to get your players. That's me listening and I'm thinking, I think we've been caught out a little bit. And I think some of the clubs, facility-wise, wouldn't have anything to... So where do you do your pool?
It's not at the ground, it's like round the corner, pretty much. Like a local
swimming pool
place, aye.
Got you. And whether a lot of clubs... I wonder how many Super League clubs actually do that and get to go to the facility, or they have their own.
I think most will have a pool that they can
do the warm down on and the.
Yeah, I'd say I don't think there'd be many that I've spoke to that haven't got some sort of facility where they do that. Most do pools.
So I can remember turning up at Leeds years ago and I thought it was hilarious. I turned up and they said, "Oh, they're gonna have the cold baths." I mean, a day like this, you'd be begging for a cold bath, but it was quite cold that day. It wasn't so much, and I watched them and. They had these massive wheelie bins, and all you saw, like, it was Sinfield. Kev, I can remember seeing Kev's head. Kev was there, loving it. You know, he sat there, Jamie Jones, you know, and I don't think I've seen Danny in many of them ice baths, if I'm being honest. But that was their way of doing it. It was very old school, but it probably works and was effective.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a behind-the-scenes documentary on either the Lions tour or England's World Cup victory that it became quite one of the famous clips about the old wheelie bins and how important that cold treatment was after impact.
Well, Warrington hired the
suits and the legs.
The suits. So after a game, they got them all to go in with the kits on, and they took the kits off and they did the cold chamber. Then they came out of it and they reckon that were amazing. Now the cost of that, luckily Warrington have probably got enough financial clout to pay for it. None of the other clubs probably would be able to use a facility like
they're
that.
making the best they can, and a pool is all right. I went to the England football setup at, I think it's called St George's Park in the Midlands, and obviously they've got all the money in the world, and it might have been a 50 million. In fact, it might have been 200 million. Cities, I think, was more. Cities was 200 or 300, maybe 100 million. But obviously they've got everything there, and that's
Loughborough.
Not at Loughborough Uni. It's at St George's Park where. It was the purpose-built facility where they've got everything, and
they built it like 8 years ago, didn't they? In the aims of getting us to the finals and that.
And that's obviously the extreme, and what rugby league clubs is try and replicate that as much as they can within what they can get hold of.
Do you think, Kieran, if on a 1 to 10 scale?
I don't think it's this. That surely the diet's the main one. That's the big thing.
No. I'm going to ask him something here. So as a kid who's been in academy, out of 10, what fitness levels would you need to be academy player?
If 10 being the fittest player that you come across in the academy, do you mean?
You yourself, do you know, you're looking back at yourself, and then I want to get it. What I'm trying to get to is when you go academy, how much more fit do you have to be to play first team Newcastle than academy?
Oh, it's difficult.
Is the speed of the game totally different?
Yeah, I would say it was quicker playing 19s.
It's fast, isn't it?
That's a good point. It's a great point. We've all said this before.
Yeah. Going into,
but it's not as tough physically, is it?
Nah, it's not as tough physically, but it's quick.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, because you've got some lads that are 19, and then some lads potentially that are 16, And it's
Great.
like if it's unmatched, you can just get rolled down the pitch, and there's nothing much you can do about it.
Yeah.
So it
Usually,
can be
most teams will play Wigan.
yeah, it can.
So you go to the Championship, and then to play Super League, which you haven't done yet.
No.
But you're training every day.
Yeah.
Is that another level again?
I feel like there's a big
mixture of
jump.
Championship and Academy. Would you say physicality and fitness?
Yeah, well, it's like a big jump between League One and Champ. Definitely, like there's not so much places to hide because everyone pretty much knows like what they're doing. If you know what I mean. Like in League One, you kind of get like it's just as physical, but they don't move the ball as much. So obviously you're gonna have to be
Championship. You say not League One.
No, it's in League One.
So
you get your breathers in.
Yeah,
in League One you can get the breathers because it's just down the middle like that.
Got it. So your next challenge. How far are you being told at Cas you are off fitness levels to play Super League? Honest, we're not bothered. You know, it's all honest.
They haven't actually said. However, that's just in my mind that I think like I need to be like literally as fit as I can possibly be. I think I'm the fittest I've been at the minute now. But in my mind, it's like another step that I need to get to.
Wow. So we might be doing it, you know, some of the lads were probably doing a disservice at the levels. Are you shocked at some of the full-time levels of fitness? You know, when you're watching, I always used to get a thing about McShane, Paul in the heyday had a bit of a rop, he'd have his bum, little Paul would be.
Yeah.
And they say, you won't believe how fast and fit he is. This kid is a Rolls Royce. I know he fluctuates. I've seen him do it over a 10-year period.
Yeah.
At the moment I saw on Saturday, he's actually on it again. I can see he's got his... But have you got into full time? And who would be the fittest player at Cas? So if you had to choose the fittest player, Macca.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's like because I'm younger, you kind of think like, oh, I'm going to be fitter than everyone else. But like, for example, Macca, I'm just miles behind him. He's just rapid. I can't keep up with him.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Because that's a good point when he's made, isn't it? You're a young lad. You automatically go into that system and go, as we did at football, you'd go, yeah, and all of a sudden you're seeing and think, oh my. I think that's happened at a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
Where the older players have I know Luke Gailey used to try and win the bleep test. He got beat last 2 years. But he got to 32 and he was still in the top 2 of any bleep test. He did it only 2 years ago. I think he come undone a bit and he thinks he can still win one. But it's interesting you're saying that. And what about you as a prop? Are the props fit? How much conditioning would a prop do?
Well, I'd argue the props have to be the fittest, really.
Wow. Because?
Well, as much the amount of running you're doing, because
with your size.
Yeah, and your size as well. Like, I've been a winger, and that felt a lot easier than than in the middle, conditioning wise.
So many involvements, isn't there? Forwards and backs. It's like you get your rugby union wingers ultimate example. You might have a breather for 60 minutes of the game. Yeah. Whereas rugby league forwards, hence why the
game's changed with rugby league wingers, haven't they? Obviously, rugby league wingers, I think Corey and Lewis Murphy have done some 150 metres yesterday.
That's a rugby union.
Yeah, I'm saying it's ridiculous, isn't it? So I think from your days in the academy winger, a bit easier, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm going off.
Yeah, well, we'll finish it off like this, guys. I think in the future, and we'll all have a little opinion on this, is what can we offer as our opinion on what could be done better, what we've seen in the game, to make it, to close them gaps with NRL, and we've just said there, kid, before you come, the top 5 players in Super League are probably top 5 fittest, mentally strongest. You know what? The top 10, you might say, top 10, top 15, you probably have something in common. I think there's only Jake Connor, who you might have in top 20 list, who probably is not as fit as he could be. I'm hoping Jake treats that respectfully as we mean it. But I look at Jake and I think, God, if you're going to be over 100 kilo playing fullback, imagine what you could be like at 86, 88. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Obviously, being lighter is going to be, you're going to be fitter really, because there's less weight to carry around, isn't there? So
yeah.
It's getting the right balance, which is again where you've got to trust for the strength and conditioners. That's what they've studied. That's what their area of expertise is. Yes, players know their own bodies and they might know certain things that works for them, but we talk about kilograms to the nth degree, don't we? What you are? Oh, I'm at 97. Oh, right. What do you want to be at? I really want to be at 95. Or I've been told I need to go to 102. well, what do you feel like at 102? I feel a bit slower. It's like, it's simple, innit? I always think at impact, it's force in it. So it's your weight with your speed combined. Now, if you've got, let's use a championship prop, for example, who is physically, he might be fit, but he looks really overweight and heavy, immediately his potential speed drops. So can you find that balance of, if you lose 5 kilograms, of course you've not got the extra weight to impact, but you can run 2 miles an hour faster, so your collision's bigger and better. Luke Thompson was the best prop for the last, going back a few years in this Super League, and I think he was ripped. But his weight and speed combination meant impact.
Played at 96.
It was ferocious, yeah. So it doesn't mean that to have that big impact, you have to be really heavy. It's getting what works best. Yeah,
Mike Lees looks like he's 97, 98. I think he plays that, so he's...
Yeah, and if you can run at speed and carry extra weight, then you've got a 200-gram prop, haven't you? Yeah. But usually it's about finding... If you've not quite got that pace and you've not got that natural fast twitch, you might need a bit more weight on you, so your impact's bigger. But if you have got speed in sport, best quality ever, other than maybe the psychology, the mentality and the determination. But speed in any sport... Yeah, and fitness. And fitness is one thing that everybody can work on themselves and improve. So when players don't do that, if there are players who don't do that, there's a big question mark about their desire and their dedication.
There's so many players. Playing in the Championship. There's so many players in the Championship, Champ 1 who could play Super League if they got that right. For some reason, majority of them find that bit hard. I'm not saying, I'm not doing it a disservice. Some unbelievably fit. Matty Wilde would be as fit as any player in Super League, Championship 1. I'd put Matt in any bleep test, any condition test, any strength, and I reckon he's got the full rig. He's absolutely fitness fanatic. He trains every day. On his day off, he trains. He's just got that mentality to be the best he can be.
Mentality.
But I think the lads certainly. I bet you've seen quite a lot of talented players in Championship. Thought, why is he not playing Super League?
Oh yeah, there's definitely been a few of them. I think there's that. I think it does come to money at the end of the day, because people with full-time jobs and then need to play rugby as well. Like, they come back from, I don't know, being a builder or whatever, and they come back on the night and they're knackered and they can't be bothered to go to the gym and stuff like that. They're already exhausted.
It's so hard in the part-time environment, isn't it? Some lads get up at 4, 5 in the morning, work a full day, have to go to training, and they might really want to be the best they can, but there's so many hurdles in the way. That's why the full-time environment's different. And the only thing I wanted to add was, I've always been saying this for years, and when I've asked players, do you not do any sprinting? Do you not want to get 1 mile an hour faster?
On that one.
And same with fitness, do you not want to do fitness? And that's where they'll turn around a lot of the time and say, yeah, but I'm told that I can't, because I need the recovery. Is obviously, the last 5 years, recovery is the buzzword. How well you recover is more important than how well you train. So a lot of times players might be like, I'd love to go on a 10k run, but I've been told I need to rest, because the chance of injury, if you're overtraining, is a term that I'd never heard till 5 years ago. And then overtraining is now the thing. You've got to be so careful, because we need you primed for match day.
I get that. I'd always debate that, because speed work doesn't have to be heavy on your conditioning. Speed work's a total different genetic to do short sprints and get your head.
But it's strain on the hamstrings and muscles.
Strain on the body.
But secondly, we can go Super League, and if I mention the teams to you now, and I mentioned every team, we could go through every player. I know, and everyone who's watching this knows, this is a load of shit, because 40% of them are not what you're saying. They're not there, and the reason they've been stopped is because a lot of them, as Joe said earlier on, a lot of that's a personal choice.
I'm just playing, no doubt. I'm playing devil's advocate.
It's the 10 pints.
I agree.
You've seen them, we've seen them. Nando's. It's the pints. It's the I don't want to do a diet. I could name you players, and we don't do it on. We don't name individuals. I've had players who've got the chance at full time and have admitted to me afterwards, 3 years after they've been released. I look back at me and I don't recognise myself. I can't believe I was full time and I was that weight. And I said, how can you be lighter weight at Championship? He goes, because I'm hungry and I want it now, and I've realised what I did. And I'm like, wow, how do you think that afterwards when you've lost your chance now? I hope you don't mind me saying it. Reece Butterworth said I spent a lot of my time at Huddersfield. I felt I played a lot over my weight. He said, he sent me a picture of it the other week. I was like, wow. I goes, how have you got that? And he goes, I'm just training nearly every day. And I said, what's real? He goes, yeah, but at full time, I will tackle bag a lot. You've not got the motivation because you know you're not going to play first team. So he said it's so hard mentally to keep you saying absolutely like. And I said, would you not think every time coach sing you on, different exercise and sprint extras? He goes, no, because sometimes if you feel you haven't got a chance, you don't. You know what I'm saying? I've not mentioned the club. I watched a game the other day, and I thought at least 6 or 8 were overweight and not in full condition. When you look at, we talk about you, Kieran, making a tackle. How many at the moment on your journey of being a prop at Super League? And we, by the way, we all think you've got a right chance. We all think we want to put the time and effort into you. When you hit a tackle and come back, and we call it reload.
Yeah.
Where would you be up to on reload of D when you could go? It was your bang, 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 bang. Are you improving that so you can go tackle?
Yeah, I think that's where Malcolms and stuff come into it. I think that's probably the best.
Explain to people what a Malcolm is.
Malcolm is pretty much run 10 metres, down up, run back 20 metres, down up off the floor, and then back into the middle. Malcolm, which is pretty much as close to playing a rugby game as you probably can. Because you obviously have to be specific to the actual sport rather than, there's no point in going for an hour jog or whatever like that.
And have you improved your Malcolms?
I feel like I have, definitely. I hope so. The amount I've been doing.
Who's your conditioner? Cas Clogger?
When you make your debut.
Yeah.
Clogger might be able to tell us that one. Hey, but I get it. It's stimulating that. I think that makes complete sense, by the way, again. But it's just interesting, innit? Because we've got... Do you get fitter by just playing loads of games? As some prop said to me the other week, I just get fitter by
That's
playing.
match fitness,
Yeah,
isn't
probably
it?
do. But and then you come back there, if you're not playing, you can't really get fit, if you know what I mean. If you're not doing that extra, because you can't replicate a game. The only thing you can do is the Malcolms. That's the closest thing.
We seen a game the other day, and I don't know if you noticed when we left, they had 5 players on after the game, and they were making them run, the ones who weren't playing. Yeah. And they had to do again, it
always do that.
It wasn't that much. It were literally 15 halfway line and back, and then another sprint. And that. If that's what you'd have to do full time just to maintain your fitness, it's not end of world. You're working David Lloyd, Jimmy. How many people in David Lloyd do that for nothing?
Well, Ellen is still the king.
Yeah. I mean, how many fitness fanatics is there in a normal gym?
Yeah, every gym in the country. Yeah.
Hundreds.
Just look on the roads, and I suppose that's why I probably have to be careful with. I'm saying about Kevin Sinfield going on runs, and like Kieran says there's no substitute for replicating the match fitness, and that's why it's hard for players who aren't getting game time, because they can try, again, I'm sure some could do more, but they can try and get the fitness where they want to be, but then they go back into a game situation and they're miles off because they just don't have the match fitness.
We laughed. I'm not mentioning Players' Day. And we had I can mention it's a bit of fun. When we had Doncaster, we couldn't work out why Zeb Luisi, he was unbelievable fullback. Remember Zeb? Unbelievable player, feet, athleticism, everything. And I used to say, Ellery used to say, we couldn't work out why he couldn't keep his weight down. And we've gone through everything. And we had a conditioner called Pete Bell, who rest his soul, is well known in rugby league, an absolute legend of a man. And Pete used to make the players the broth, so they didn't eat fast food.
Right.
So he'd say, I'll make it as long as you eat it chili and rice, but you can't go back and have fast food on the way on because it won't. Anyway, I'm pulling in one day, and this is after a game, and I'm pulled in thinking I'll just not say I'll pull into McDonald's, and I'm going to go for the big burger, the bucket. Well, I was starving, and I just seen car, and I just seen order must have been 35 quid worth of order. And I'm looking at it and it's Zeb, but he's on his own and he's got it, and I was like, wow. And then I asked one of the lads and they said, that's one of the biggest things. There was 6 fast food things next to the stadium. And so I think the majority of the lads were fueling up on that away from the game.
Well, someone told me just the other week that there's a player who goes past a McDonald's and a KFC on his way home and he will stop at both.
Genius.
Well,
does that go back to what I said then? I think
accountability is the word. What you said,
diets. I think
and education,
and accountability.
Yeah,
would you know about if Joe? If we said to you now, Kieran, what's good for your food? What's bad for your food? What would you have it? I'm being honest. Would you? How are you on that?
I would say good because obviously before I started going to Cas, I was a personal trainer, so I already had a passion for it beforehand. So I think I'm looking in terms of that.
And then if you compared it to players on your own team, like you don't name names or but people that you've experienced, how smart would they be on it? Would they be
maybe not as clued up, like?
Yeah, I think that's probably a big one. I think
So if we've got one tip each before we leave, lads, have we got anything what we can say, what we've learnt off the last 40 minutes? I'd say Joe might have hit the nail on the head. We're probably looking at accountability, educating yourself. Maybe the clubs that are I think they're doing it now anyway, so there's no disservice, they're massively doing it now. But I think historically we probably need every single player to be able to be right on it and be... I know Tim Sheens, when he went to KR, because of what you're saying about the wear and tear, he didn't do any training in the week apart from the watt bike, which is incredible now when you look back. But he said, we'll do everything on the watt bike. So any time he used the pitch for game prep, the rest of the time it was everybody on these watt bikes every day. But he reckons the injuries what least they've ever had because of the impact on the bones, and he reckons the players were as fit towards the end of the season as they'd ever be. Now he strongly believed in that. I don't know if there's a set thing for it, but I would say accountability for the player individually.
Yeah, and I think that links strongly in to having role models within your team. If a young lad comes in, and we could say that we've got a generation of certainly part-time players who are top championship players, top League One players, who are a bit stuck in their ways perhaps, and we're like, yeah, fair enough, I know that, but I'm used to this, I'll do this, I've been doing it for fun, I'm still getting I'm still performing where I'm happy being. What we're looking at is as the generations go through that, the young lads who are getting educated at academies and who are learning more as clubs learn more, and we learn more off the NRL and we learn more from other sports, hopefully it feeds in, and when you see it come through, the old school is gone and players take more accountability. I think, like you say, Joe's hit the key word, but that accountability will only come when the peers are doing it. If you look across and someone's slacking, human nature is, if you're not that Johnny Lomax determination, you might drop a level. If you look across and you've got a senior player who might be Jamie Peacock at 30 odd year old or Johnny Lomax who is still there, you will.
Well, they say Roby's the goat of all goats. Yeah. He's still the best trainer, still the best condition, he's still the best dietitian.
So no one can come through at Saints and not copy that. And if they do, for more than 2 weeks, I can guarantee you they'll be out of there.
I think that's a good point, Jim. I've spoke to a few players on teams where I've gone, I think you can get your fitness. Let's get your fitness up. A couple in champ where it's like, let's get your fitness up, and they've gone, oh no, I'm in a good place with my fitness, but their reason for being in a good place was that they're as fit as the older players. They said, well, I do that. We all do it together. I'm fit, and it's like, and then I think it never clicked. Actually, I think you might have nailed it, because they're looking at. I'll not name the team, but they're looking at some of the elders, and if you look at the elders in the team, they call the elder fit, but the elder's got bigger belly than me and my dad combined, and you're like,
well there, I'm not, mine's gone.
Yeah. but then that could be. You might have nailed it.
Do you know a good one? When we played football growing up, what you're doing there is the old-fashioned one that said to your team up with your partner, you'd look for fattest kid. I never got it. I'd obviously have to go for other people, but if all lads were looking for you for fitness, you knew that they were pairing up like you're the most unfittest, because if there were 5 people and a none of you like, fuck off, you like, get away lads. That's telling you, right lads, we're going to do a fitness drill, pick a partner, bang, and they've all gone for same 3 kids. You've got big problems within that ethic. But back to what we're saying then about role models, and again, that might be the answer to what we've said about Saints and Wigan. I know that Wigan had O'Loughlin as a leader and a culture leader for 10, 12 years of saying this is the mark. Yeah. And I can remember Matty saying, if he can do this at 32, don't you dare tell me you can't do it at that. And that must be scary. Yeah. I think Lewis Dodds would tell you, Lewis going into the Saints side, Lewis got top Chewing Bleak test off the bat. Because he was already in that mentality, because he'd been training with first team from he knew what it took to be a first team player. He knew the standards were that high. He wasn't cheating from the start. He was like, right, I can remember Lewis making his mind up. He was a fully seasoned professional at 17 and a half. If I'll be honest, a bit like Smithies, a bit like Morgan, who were already trained. Somebody said the other day about, you know, these young players. Morgan's 20, but he's probably been in a system acting as that, been that mentality since he was 16.5-year-old. So
and roll the clock back. I remember there was Paul Sculthorpe at one time was
still got the best rig now.
Well, they were talking about him as being potentially the fittest person in sport if you covered everything from strength, speed, obviously stamina. A long distance runner would destroy him, but as an overall package of having the right mix of everything. But we're talking about him being the number one in all sport. Now, he set the bar high for that Saints team that did really well. I think Cine probably and JP maybe as well set the bar high for the Leeds team. And that's where recruitment can help. At championship level, if we think of Ben Jones-Bishop, how valuable is he? Not only for scoring tries and being a great player he is, but off the field. Yeah. Because players look at him and go, this is why he was one of the best, because he's so professional and he looks after himself. And players can add value.
Culture players are valuable together.
And we talk about how Gailey's worth so much because of how he is and setting examples and being such a good member of a team. And if you can sign a player because you want to set a culture, you sign a fit player who's determined, he's a role model for the young ones.
Well, the Melbourne lad that Huddersfield signed at 32, we all surprised him at that signing. And then I read the Melbourne Bellamy's book and he said it was the best culture player I've ever had. Right. He then came to Huddersfield, the loose forward, blonde-haired lad, and he played 3 years at 32, and they said he was best trainer, but he just was that player. That they brought him in purely on the basis of saying this is what it means to be a top professional in our sport. Yeah.
And I know a bit biased again, but I remember Kyler Lulawai in his last couple of years, he'd come in and he'd be doing extras. And
Loads.
I'd go down with him sometimes, and I thought I were fit, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I was a million miles away. And he was coming to the end of his career. He wasn't taking his foot off the gas and thinking I'll just roll out the last couple of years. He was still there, and it's isn't it? It's all in your head.
A problem with a big problem. We said we're wrapping up. We've got another 5 minutes. Is the money as well, because I feel 10% of players when they get a new contract they seem to don't have the edge about them. But I guarantee you and I know it sounds like a weak mentality, but when they're out of contract, they are boom. If they get a 3-year deal, first 3 months, you're scared because you know what's coming. You know what's coming. The hot dogs are out, the burgers are out, the drinks are out, and they're going, listen, I'm on holiday because I've got my contract. The stress is over. Maybe the best players and the most intense players just have that anyway. Yeah. They don't need motivation of a wage or out of form. And it's the same players who probably make the excuses about, putting your hand up after a game and said, sorry guys, that was down to me. I'm not fit enough. I ain't deed up enough. I've let you down. The top players do that. Yeah. There'll be accountability, using Joe's word. There'll be accountability of a top player doing that. You probably get the same person who's in that system who's hiding a bit, and probably the same player. I just think it's a shame. I think if you finish, Kieran, and you're 35, we've all tried sport. Joe tried to be a tennis player, lasted a year. Jimmy's tried to be a tennis player and a football, didn't even last a year. I had 15 years at the top.
I got to a better standard than you did.
I've had 15 years of being at 3 different sports and still doing it.
He's not had one. He's not. He got dropped.
But
horse racing's on couch.
On couch is when you sit there and it's all finished and done. I reckon the one nightmare is the player who sits at the bar with the pint, and he says, I could have been, and I just don't, and you go, wow, that is the one speech you don't want. You don't want the I could have been speech. So that's a message for everybody out this. People debate it and give us some good feedback. We've only done things like this because we try and help the game. It's not aimed at any individuals.
Yeah, we're not going to go out with it.
It's just saying, I think it's something in the sport we could all get better and learn and educate ourselves. And there's probably fans. Some fans sit there and ask us, don't they? Look at all these fat. How can they be full time and they're playing overweight? Well, we're trying to answer a few questions here to say to you, this is probably some reason. It could be what Kieran says, which is right. If you're wear and tear and your body's that tough, like you're only getting a couple of sessions in after that, well, does that put more emphasis on pre-season then?
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's their chance to get them, because they know
So that's
do
key
much.
to everything, then, isn't it?
That's what they do in the NBA. I don't want to keep going back to American sports, but they say
You've told everyone you've been in America 15 times.
I'll keep dropping it in. But then I've played in the NBA. That's what they do in their pre-season is everything. They hardly do fitness after that because the games are the fitness.
Yeah.
So they've got to make.
But they're playing nearly every night, aren't they?
Well, 2 times a
But
week.
it's same in football as well. Same with football, rugby. They also pre-season's a chance to get fit, because during the season it's recovering. We can't do.
Well, you get some players who are injured pre-season. You can see, can't you? Halfway through the year, you're like,
They can never catch up.
you can never catch up, can't you? It's such an hard, tough game.
But what you said before, that's education. Getting young players to understand it. It's all happened so fast, but getting players to understand it is a short career. You wanna, and what we're saying here is for more potential. We want the game to be bigger and better, and players to be better, and stand to be better. And we're trying to find ways. Is for a bit of unlocked potential, and how can we get that? But that's all education. That story about a man in a pub is educating him.
We've noticed. God, I can't believe we're still going on. I've noticed the coaches and the staff. Everyone's got a bit fit, because at one time, I'm not kidding you. This is people find this. I can't mention it, but you'd have conditioners who were not fit, and not into fitness themselves, and you're like, I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, there's a proven case of, and I look now, and I know Bastian's told me that he feels he's fit as he's ever been, and he's intentionally done that because he wants the lads to see him.
Standards.
Absolutely, this is what I'm at, and I'm 54, and I'm willing to go through this to keep me. And he's asked all his staff to do it, to put some emphasis on that. And your coach looking good. I know Bellamy. They say Bellamy and Bennett still couldn't finish halfway in any run. I think Bennett's 70 odd, Bellamy's 60 plus, and they say he can still, against any player, they can. And JP famously said that in the World Cup, where he'd knock on his door every morning and said, come on, they were a 10, 8 mile, 9 mile, 10 mile jog. JP was just around from the night before a lot of times, but he didn't tell Wayne Bennett that. But they reckon Wayne, where every day they looked up, he would win. So I think that setting the standards,
setting the standards
comes right through the club, doesn't it?
The environment, and it's hard to, and this might be interesting for some viewers and listeners, it's hard to believe that there are players at the top level who don't have ridiculous levels of competitiveness and ridiculous levels of determination. They're just unbelievably good at what they do. They might not love the game, so for those players it's a lot harder to do those extras, and when you combine the mindset with the talent, and I'll go back to Johnny Lomax or James Roby and many others we mentioned, you've got the full package. Some lads who don't have the love, the determination, the competitiveness, and they can all take it in the stride. It's unbelievably hard for them to do the extras and push themselves.
If you mentioned the Man of Steel favourite this year, Jai Fields looks as fit as a book. Does he look fit, fast? He looks like he's, I don't know what you're taking the mickey about the fat count. Would he be a low fat count? Do you still do that?
In his position,
yeah, so
we said about the
the calipers and stuff like that. Yeah.
But in his position, he should be, and we've got to be careful, because we've just said, I bet not many people would have said Paul McShane's the fittest at Cas.
No, and they might do it at times. I think he fluctuates with his. Paul can go up 5 or 6 kilo. He looked sharp as out.
There can be people who are fit who are fat, or certainly look fat.
Paul actually said that.
I don't say you look fat, Mac. Just make that
very clear. I'm bragging a bit here, because I actually said I sent a song after Sunday and I put it was the return of the Mac, and he knew what I meant because he's known me that since you're a kid, and he said, "Boss, I'm on it. I've got my fitness," and he can tell he's gone back. Whatever he's focused back in to say, I need to be at this level. So he's obviously done things a little different to previous, which is what good players can do. But listen, thank you. I hope that was a bit of crack for you. We've gone about an hour over what we said we'd do. Please get your feedbacks. Show me the money, Rugby League TV, guys.
Well done.
Yeah.
Can we keep subscribing? I think we're breaking all the records with our views. I think we're up to X amount. Sam keeps giving us our figures on a Wednesday. I think we're breaking every pot we can. Please keep with us, keep enjoying it, and get your comments in. Thank you.